Hello, my name is Tracy Allen, and I want to welcome you to Cooking with Some Friends. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. In honor of Cinco de Mayo that's coming up, around that time, we're doing a few recipes that in honor of those students that I had with a Latin American background. And today we're doing some Mexican wedding cookies. And I put my cup of butter, let it soften to room temperature, and to that I want to add and cream in a half a cup of powdered sugar. Now the recipe calls for 1 1/4 cups of powdered sugar. You want to take 3/4 cup of that and reserve it for later, and then the other half cup goes in here. I'm going to set that aside for a minute and go on with this part of it. I have 1 3/4 cups of flour in my bowl, and to that I want to add about 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Mix that together, and then I'm going to set this aside while I cream my butter with that half cup of powdered sugar. It just disperses the cinnamon a little bit better if you do it this way instead of just dumping it all together without over mixing. Okay. So I will come back when I get this creamed and I'll show you what comes next. Okay, my butter and powdered sugar are creamed. So to that, I want to add just a little bit of salt. I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I want to also add in a teaspoon of vanilla. And a teaspoon of almond extract. Okay, so I'm going to mix those together, and then I'm going to gradually add in my flour and cinnamon mixture. The only other thing that needs to actually go into my cookies is I want to mix in my pecans. And I have a cup of pecans that I toasted, and then I crushed them up pretty fine. And they're going to go into our cookies. And if you don't crush them fine enough, you'll notice it when you go to form these into balls because they won't want to work with you. So the finer you can crush them, really, the better. So I am going to roll these into about a 1.5 to 2 inch ball. Well, actually, I only want to go about 1 inch because I don't want them very big. And then I'm going to bake these at 350 for about 15 minutes. They'll be golden brown, you'll notice. And then, while they're still warm, that powdered sugar that we reserved. I want to roll these in that powdered sugar and then let them cool completely, and they're ready to go. Hello everyone, and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I have some recipes that I've been doing, a couple of them in honor of Cinco de Mayo coming up. One of those that I'd like to show you is a recipe for tres leches, meaning 3 milks. Now, I have 3 or 4 recipes that I use for tres leches. One of them I used often when I taught students culinary arts so that they could learn certain processes. Another one I have just because it's a very good recipe, and I like the processes that I use in that cake. The other one is a super easy version of tres leches. And so if you're in a hurry, it's the first time you're trying tres leches, this might be the better option. They all taste wonderful, but this one's a lot more simple than the others. So what makes it simple, one of the things that makes it simple is you start with a super moist yellow cake mix, and that's what's in my bowl. And I've already preheated my oven. Since I'm using a metal pan and it's a fairly dark pan, I preheated my oven to 325. If you use a glass pan, you might want to preheat to 350 just because of the heat transference in it. But anyway, I have my cake mix. To that, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 1 1/4 cups of water, and then 4 eggs. There's my oven, ready to go. The pan that I have is a 9x13 that I sprayed and floured because this is one of those cakes we're not going to leave in the pan. We're going to dump it into another pan just so it can soak up the milks a little bit better. You can leave it in the pan that you bake it in. I find that it actually absorbs the milks better if you transfer it to a different pan. Okay. So my eggs are ready to go in, and I'm going to beat this on low for 30 seconds and then on medium for 2 minutes. And I'll scrape the bowl every so often. Scrape down, and then we'll increase the speed and go for our 2 minutes. Let's give it another scrape. Another minute. Okay, at this point we are ready to put this in our prepared pan, and we're going to bake this for 30 to 35 minutes. You'll need to test it with a toothpick to see if it's done. If the toothpick comes out clean, then you know it's safe to remove it and let it start the cooling process. Obviously, I mean, we're not of Hispanic descent, but when I taught school, I had a lot of students who were, and so our Spanish department and our students would celebrate Cinco de Mayo, and so this was always a good one to have. Or if you're studying the regions of the world with culinary foods that come from different places, then this is also good. So we're going to pop this in the oven, and then I'll come back when it's time. So we baked our cake and I let it cool in the pan for 10 minutes and I transferred it to a larger pan so that the milks we add can actually soak in and have room. And then I'm taking a fork, and I've already done most of it, but you want to poke holes all over the cake so that that milk can absorb down into the center. Okay. Set that aside. And then I want to mix my 3 milks. And so in my large measuring cup, I have 12 ounces of evaporated milk. And you can buy, it's a 12-ounce can, or you can buy the 17-ounce container that's resealable, which is really handy, and then put the other 5 ounces in the refrigerator. Then I need a can of sweetened condensed milk that I'm going to add to this. Sweetened condensed milk makes some of the best caramel sauce if you cook it in the can. It stays soft, has a very sweet caramel flavor, but it's not overbearing. And then I have 1/4 of a cup of heavy cream that goes in there. So I'm going to mix those. And then I'm going to add this, or pour it over my cake, but I only want to do 3/4 of a cup to start with, and then let that soak in, and then I'll add the rest gradually until all of the milks are in there. At that point, I'm going to refrigerate this for at least an hour, and then it will be ready for the topping that we're going to put over it. Get off my spoon. So that makes about 3 cups, so I need to pour down to about 2 1/4. So let that soak in, and then I'll keep gradually adding the rest till it's all in there. So our tres leches has cooled for a little over an hour. We got sidetracked with some other stuff. And so now what makes this even easier, if that could be possible, is you can use an 8-ounce container of Cool Whip and top the whole thing, or you can make your own whip topping by taking a pint of heavy cream, 3 tablespoons of sugar, and beating that to stiff peak and then putting it over the top. But since we're trying to go for the easy tres leches, we're going to use Cool Whip. And some people will just put the Cool Whip on as they serve the individual pieces. But I just like to have it all done. So if I'm busy, I don't have to stop. We can just cut the pieces and serve. Well, my daughter-in-law and granddaughter came over, and we were decorating some cakes, and it was a good time. Love it when family comes over and we can cook together or just laugh and have a good time. Okay. Now, just like if you made your own whip topping, you can also sprinkle the top of this with some cinnamon just to add a little bit more flavor. And then when you serve it, you can serve it with a maraschino cherry or some sliced strawberries, just to enhance the flavor a little bit more. So I'm gonna lightly sprinkle this. You don't want to do too much because cinnamon can be a little bit on the bitter side if you get too much. So we just want a light dusting of it. Okay, there's our tres leches. Our easy tres leches. Thanks for joining us for this session of Cooking with Some Friends. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And find us on Facebook at Cooking with Some Friends.